Welcome to the program. Our sign language interpreter is William Sila. We begin in the judiciary, where the news is tightening on Supreme Court Judge Philip Tunoi, who is accused of receiving a bribe from Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero. Chief Justice William Mutunga has now called a special session of the Judicial Service Commission to discuss the damning allegation. Mutunga says he is forwarding the file to both the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Authority as well as the Director of Public Prosecutions.
For several months now, Justice Philip Tunoi has been at the center of a legal battle to push his retirement date from 70 years provided for in the current constitution to 74 years in accordance with the old constitution. But now the Supreme Court judge is in the eye of a totally different storm, with allegations that he received a hefty bribe in the election petition against Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero. A sworn affidavit by journalist Geoffrey Kiplagat alleges that Tunoi received over 200 million shillings from the Nairobi governor to rule against Ferdinand Waititu, who was challenging Kidero's election. Chief Justice Dr. William Mutunga now says that internal investigations into the allegations are complete and, quote, in view of the gravity of the allegations and the public interest the matter has generated, I will be presenting this matter to a special sitting of the JSC that I have summoned for Wednesday, said the Chief Justice in a statement sent to newsrooms. The Chief Justice says he will also be forwarding the files to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and the Director of Public Prosecutions. Kiplagat, a former journalist with CAS FM, claimed in the affidavit that he acted as a conduit between Justice Tunoi and the Nairobi governor to deliver the bribe that he says was meant to influence the Supreme Court into upholding Kidero's election in the last general election. Jogeyo, KTN News.
So the Chief Justice Dr. William Mutunga has convened a special sitting of the Judicial Service Commission to investigate this, and he says that action was done because of the public interest that this matter has generated. And the big question tonight we are asking, should Judge Philip Tunoi resign from the Supreme Court for allegedly receiving bribes? Tell us what you think. SMS your yes or no opinion plus a brief comment to our SMS line 22155. Join that conversation on Twitter at Ben_Kitili, at KTN News, at KTN Kenya. The hashtag is KTN Prime. Elsewhere, 10 bloggers have been summoned to appear before the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. 9 bloggers, including Robert Alai, Cyprian Nyakundi, and Patrick Msafari, who are wanted for questioning over misuse of licensed telecommunication gadgets, have been summoned to appear before detectives on Wednesday. Yasin Juma was arrested on Saturday and held in police custody for 2 nights over his social media post on the Al-Shabaab attack on the KDF camp in Somalia. Was released earlier today, but asked to report back to the DCI on February 1st.
After spending 2 nights in police custody, blogger and former NTV journalist Yasin Juma was a free man. Yasin had earlier in the morning been taken to the Kiambu law courts, but was not charged.
I was very ready to go to the court and, present myself to the magistrate at Kiambu. But when I arrived there and I was on the line waiting to be called, somehow I was called and I told that we have to turn back and go back to the CID headquarters.
He was driven to the Muthaiga police station before being taken to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters, where he was briefly questioned before being released. The blogger was held over alleged misuse of a licensed telecommunication gadget in connection with his social media posts on the Al-Shabaab attack on the KDF camp in Somalia. He was arrested on Saturday night at his home in Donholm by detectives who searched his house before he was detained overnight at the Muthaiga police station.
They were asking for laptops and flash disks and the telephone. They took my mobile phone.
On Sunday, he was taken to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters, where he was grilled for over 4 hours and was later taken back to the Muthaiga police station, where he spent his second night in police custody. Yasin has been posting information and pictures on the Al-Shabaab attack on his Twitter account at Yasin Juma, his Facebook page, and his blog Yasin Juma Notes. Despite his release, the police are not done with him yet. He has been summoned to appear again before detectives in a week's time. And he will not be the only blogger being questioned. 9 other bloggers have been summoned to appear before detectives for grilling on Wednesday. The 9, Robert Alai, Cyprian Nyakundi, Patrick Msafari, Seth Odongo, Charles Dienya, George Nyongesa, Eddie Ila, Felix G. Cord, and Anthony Mburu are wanted for questioning for allegedly misusing a licensed telecommunication gadget. 2 of them, Cyprian Nyakundi and Patrick Msafari, were grilled by detectives last week in what critics seen as a targeting of bloggers seen to be critical of the government. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
The National Transport and Safety Authority (NTSA) has embarked on a crackdown on public service vehicles that are yet to comply with the newly released set of guidelines. The guidelines, which were revisited on Friday, gave the operators 3 days to comply with. KTN Zinzi Kibiku now reports after spending the better part of the day with Matatu crews and NTSA officials.
We have seen them all. Passenger service vehicles at their best. Well, at least not according to safety regulators in the industry, NTSA. According to the authority, the trendy Matatus that bear graffiti on their body, play loud music, and even fitted with plasma screens have literally crossed the safety line. Monday afternoon, the PSV drivers plying the Magadi Road next to the Catholic University Junction got a rude shock. The dragnet mounted by NTSA would not spare any of them. The safety authority officials, together with the traffic police, had started vetting the vehicles in an exercise that will last for the next few weeks.
The first one is to remove modified exhaust systems that were making noise and making it difficult for people walking along the road to continue with their work. 2 is graffiti that covers the glass section of the vehicle.
According to the NTSA Act Regulation 7, the letters of the circle should not be less than 10 inches and they should be of a color that is visible during the day from at least 275 meters. That same NTSA Act Regulation 2 talks about the innovative decoration. That's the graffitis, and that is one of the very many gazetted acts from 2014 that bus owners are not happy with.
While in areas such as Donholm Roundabout, business for them was running smoothly. In Buruburu area, the atmosphere is different. We find Shem Windy, who has heard about the crackdown and has no other choice but to replace the Sako writings on his bus. He tells me his Matatu hasn't been on the road for the better part of the day.
Kwa saa hii naona nimesimama. Nikisai ningekuwa kazi. Obviously affect business yangu.
To many of the Sako operating managers such as Stephen Kimathi, this crackdown has come with financial constraints to the business and while defending the graffiti and the rest of his vehicles at work.
It can cost one vehicle 100,000 shillings just to do the lighting system. The exhaust pipes, yes, we will remove, and we agree with the NTSA, we will remove. The pararira, which we call it pararira, the horns, we will remove.
Majority of the bus Sako drivers say the society has also influenced their business. Many young people would rather board a colorful, noisy bus, and for them that means profits. As for now, NTSA is yet to give an exact time frame of how long the crackdown will continue. Zinzi Kibiku, KTN News.
Before we shed some more light on that latest impasse between the National Transport and Safety Authority and the Matatu industry in Kenya, let's take a look at some numbers on the Matatu industry in Kenya. Now, it is very hard to put a finger to the exact number of Matatus in the country, but there is, according to government figures, there is an estimated 60,000 Matatus operating in Kenya. Most of those are compounded to the capital, Nairobi, where there are around 20,000 approximately Matatus operating in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. Now, how much of this do they influence? That is a question that has been asked a lot of times. And an estimated 500,000 jobs, that is according to Matatu operators, are said to be associated directly or indirectly with the Matatu industry. But it is very hard, again, to put up a figure to that. The sector controls unregulated millions of Kenya shillings every year, every month, every day, and that has been another bone of contention as to how that can be regulated. And very quickly, and of course that is the latest, the numbers, over 600 registered Matatu circles in the countries. This was something that was supposed to make the Matatu industry self-regulatory. Government policy is also something that we will be talking about, and there has been that plan to phase out 14-seater Matatus. But the latest thing that we talk about is the new rules, the new redone guidelines. Let's now bring in the National Transport and Safety Authority Director General Francis Major and the Chairman of the Matatu Owners Association, Simon. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us tonight. Let me start with you, Mr. Director General. How has the Matatu industry reacted to the NTSA Act 2015, and more importantly, the newly redone rules? Thank you very much.
We don't call this a crackdown. A crackdown is progressive, it's not the right thing. What we are doing is compliance checking. So we want to move out from what we used to call crackdowns to compliance checks. That is one. The other issue is that...
All right, Mr. Director General, we're going to have to interrupt you just for a short while as we sort out your audio. We shall come back to this very quickly. Before we come back to that, the Orange Democratic Movement today held a strategy meeting here in Nairobi with plans to restructure the party. Ahead of the 2017 elections, the party is yet to front its presidential candidate, although it is almost clear that Raila Odinga's name will not miss on the list. Last Friday, the Wiper Democratic Movement also held a similar meeting in Machakos, where Kalonzo Musyoka was officially fronted as the party's presidential aspirant.
I think it's more about just restructuring and ensuring that at the end of the day, it's more about the processes and the procedures that we've been following within the party, ensuring that they work as per expected. As you know, for example, when it comes to nominations, nomination has always been a contentious issue within various political parties. We want to streamline that so that we can ensure that we have a document, for example, that we can refer to that particular document. We want, for example, to avoid fallouts, you know, because after nominations we end up with fallouts. How do we keep our members so that we're talking about, for example, party ideology? Because if you have party ideology, you have a mission and a vision. You're not moving from one place to another. But we know also that Kenyan politics, we're not yet at that level. We're operating ideologically. Ideally, we should. So those are some of the issues and some of the things that we need to put into place and think about and think through.
The fourth meeting of the fourth session of the Assembly of the East Africa Legislative Assembly is underway in Arusha, Tanzania, and will run until the 5th of next month. Among the agenda to be discussed is the volatile situation in Burundi. Let's now join Karunderi, who is in Arusha, Tanzania.
The focal point Monday has been the humanitarian crisis in Burundi, where more than 400 people have died and more than 200,000 people displaced. This is according to figures issued by the United Nations Council of Security. And of course, members of the Burundi government appeared before the assembly and gave their submissions, as well as other representatives of various organs in Burundi. The Minister of Justice, that is the Minister of Justice from Burundi, and the Minister of the East African Community, and the Inspector General of Police were the representatives from Burundi who gave their submissions.
I would like to caution you, Mr. Chair and members. There are some people who are recommending you to suspend Burundi from the community. There are some people who are recommending not to allow Burundi to have the function, the rotation function that are given by the treaty to Burundi, like the post of Secretary General and the chairmanship of the summit.
And the members of the civil society, two representatives also appeared before the assembly members and gave their submissions and what they think the solutions are in ending the strife that has continued to plague the people of Burundi, who are embroiled in turmoil. Also, 6 political parties sent their representatives to also give or submit their views and submissions. And the deputy chair of the party, CNDD, FDD was also there together with representatives of 6 other political parties. The assembly members for these 2 weeks will also look at various petitions that have been filed by different bodies. Key amongst them, that one filed by the Pan-African Lawyers Union, PALU, that had filed a petition with the East African Legislative Assembly to look into the issues of Burundi, a number of issues that they had raised in their petition. That is, PALU joined with other 6 civic bodies that wanted IALA to listen to and deliberate. So these are some of the issues that members of IALA will be looking at.
Our role is to listen to them. They have an opportunity to give presentations before us. Thereafter, we shall put questions to them in relation to their presentation, as well as to those that were brought by other parties previously.
Some of the other matters that are expected to come before the members of the Assembly are the Risk Reduction and Management Bill 2013. This bill is expected to provide a legal framework on matters to do with managing disasters. Other issues that will appear or will be discussed, will come up for discussion, have to do with the Common Market Protocol, issues to do with work permits for the member countries of the East African Community. From here at IALA, East African Legislative Assembly at the East African Community Headquarters in Arusha, Tanzania, we will continue giving you updates on what is happening, the proceedings that are being held and the deliberations that will come out of the meetings here held for the 2 weeks starting today. I am Carol Nderi in Arusha, Tanzania.
Carol Nderi, they are keeping an eye on things at the East African Legislative Assembly. Now, top story tonight, the Chief Justice Dr. William Mutunga has convened a special sitting of the Judicial Service Commission to take a look at some allegations made against Supreme Court Judge Philip Tunoi, who's accused of receiving a bribe from Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero. On the big question tonight, we are asking you, do you think or should Judge Philip Tunoi resign over the allegations of corruption? Tell us what you think. SMS your yes or no opinion to 2215. Join that conversation, Twitter as well. We shall be reading some of your views during this live newscast. We are going to take a quick break now, but when we come back, we shall be talking to the Matatu Owners Association Chair Simon Kimutai, as well as the Director General of the National Transport and Safety Authority, Francis Major, on the new regulations by the NTSA and the impact it has had on the Matatu industry. Stay with us. So the National Transport and Safety Authority has embarked on a new crackdown. The Director General says it is not a crackdown on Matatus which have not complied with the newly set guidelines to the Matatu industry. In studio with us is Simon Kimutai, Chairman of the Matatu Owners Association, as the National Transport Safety Authority Director General Francis Major. Thank you for joining us once more.
Thank you.
What would you say is the reaction of the Matatu industry to the new guidelines, and what influenced or what made you relook at the NTSA Act?
I think this is first of all a correction. We don't have new regulations that we're implementing. What we are implementing is legal notice number 179 of 2014, which gives a guideline. After the presidential directives on gravities, we developed a regulation to guide the process of how they should be applied. Over time, we have seen that people are not doing it, and we've received a lot of complaints from the public, forcing us now to implement this. It's unfortunate that the regulation in 2014 were designed to empower the companies, transport companies and SACCOs to do self-regulation. So they should be the first people to implement some of these regulations. We are only coming in to enforce and to check where they have failed to do their job.
So the Matatu industry is calling it a crackdown. What is your take to this?
It's not the Matatu industry calling it crackdown. It is the media houses calling it crackdown. Well, definitely in every organization we've got to have guidelines that probably would put us through and do our business without much interference. And we know very well that the regulations are as old as, what you would say. I don't think there's anything new. And what we should observe first is on issue of road safety. Do this gravity affect road safety? because number one should be people traveling should be safe. And I think what I would say is that it's more than what the press has put it. I think press would want to have always sensationalizing news.
All right, then, Mr. Chairman, well, the NTSA before Friday gave Matatu operators 3 days to comply. Then why did you not comply?
I want to tell you that it is a failure, because if the rules have been there all along, why haven't they been enforced? Because there's nothing new. Gravity, we made a request to the president to allow our young people get jobs and be able to exercise their skills in drawing on the sides of the vehicles. And it would have been very easy to keep noticing what is not wanted, or making the numbers be be loud enough and words be loud enough, like SACCO. I know if there are no guide and enforcing the law, people are bound to even cross the border and do things that are not right. But what we say is that what has been happening all along. Do we wait to a moment where we say we need to crack down, or do we need to have a combined effort by both police and NTSA to be able to do it right from the word go? Unfortunately, the vigor in which now this is being addressed should have been put elsewhere. We have areas where now this is competition and it's business. What the competition here is, we have vehicles that are not even licensed to do business, and they are doing business on the face of the regulator and the law enforcers.
Right.
If they would allow us to operate well, right now we are competing even with unlicensed operators who have vehicles that are not meant to carry passengers. So there are ways of addressing these issues that would not have been put so loud in the press.
Right, Director General.
Yes.
Some Matatu owners are riding on that presidential directive on graffiti. What does the law say?
It's very clear. This was an appeal by the industry to His Excellency the President. And as a result of that directive, we develop regulations to guide the process. One of the things that we are saying is that we are not against graffiti. What we are against is applying graffiti on places that compromise safety. Look at the pictures that you have been showing here. Even on the windshield of the vehicle, you find gravity being put. Look at another issue. We have seen very messages that are being put in some of these PS vehicles that do not support the national good. We hear of some of the, and I can give you a very good example.
Does that flout the act?
It does, because the say you should not put any offensive wording to the public. And I will give you a very good example. One of the SACCOs, one of the Matatus sometimes back was saying, why do you go to high school while you can go to high school high? What is the message that is sending? That we condone drugs? If you look at some of the cases that we've seen today, one of them is saying, nakuaga na adabu, lakini leo sina. I mean, things that are obviously not acceptable to any society. Those are the things we are against. But gravity, we want to encourage the young people to be innovative, to do what is right, but within the constraint of the law.
Fair enough. Very quickly, many Matatu operators are saying that the younger people want to, use or travel with the Matatus that, look cool or good. So where do they draw the line?
The line should be drawn by the law. You should not apply it on the windshield, the rear, the back. Should not interfere with the name of the company of the SACCO. Anywhere else you are allowed to put. But we have to be guided by the law.
Right. Mr. Chairman, the creation of the SACCOs was meant to make the Matatu industry self-regulatory. So now for the government, through the NTSA, to come in, is you as leadership failing? Are you failing?
No, we ain't. No, we ain't. I would say the law enforcer is failing. Where the law has got to be applied, it's got to be applied and no wait for law. We do not support gravity that is provocative. We would want to celebrate our role models and portray them and give nice messages. Areas where we have people going out of that, we have said they should have been prosecuted a long time ago. We don't wait for it to grow. It becomes a monster and then becomes resistant. We've said from the word go, those exhaust modification should have gone. Somebody should have been arraigned in court a long time ago. The graffiti, that is not, that is provocative. Pornography, we don't encourage this. One is that we would want also to have a society that is, accepted by every person. So for us, we don't condone all that have been put there. We are against some of this, but what do? Can we team up and make it better? The unfortunate bit is that we wait too long, and then it comes and businesses are disrupted because of a few. Not all vehicles have that kind of message. Some of them are they've actually complied.
Right. Yes, I think I want to intervene there. Some SACCOs have indeed failed, and failed badly, for that matter. The purpose for self-regulation is to take action on your members before the government come in. This is a perfect case where some of these SACCOs have failed to do what they are supposed to be doing. We have enabled as NTSA for every member to apply for a license. They apply through their SACCO. And we have said further, if there is anybody who is not in compliance with the law, let the SACCO take the first step of disciplining them.
Thank you.
By revoking the license, and these people will be out of license.
Quickly, 30 minutes, Mr. Chairman. What is the way forward?
The way forward is we team up. We don't want to play volleyball. We need minimal interference in our business doing. Then what should happen is NTSA and Matatu owners should actually be talking from the same page, as opposed to having our businesses be disrupted. We'd rather sit anything that points, looks like it's going anywhere, we take care of it immediately. And then the vigor in which this is being used, let it be applied. Right now it's competition. And the competition is because everybody wants to make money out of what they've invested. So can we make it, we take this effort and crack down on areas of illegalities.
Thank you. 30 seconds, Director General.
Yeah, I think the first
some people having their registration plates impounded.
Yes.
So what happens?
What happened is this. First of all, what we are doing is we are checking the vehicles. Those which have no issues, we are allowing them to operate as normal. The ones which have issues, we are withdrawing the number plate and giving what we call a prohibition order. A prohibition order allows you to go and fix the challenges or the issues that we have identified. Once they have been sorted out, you come up with a certificate of compliance that the vehicle now is compliant, then you go back to the road. But we want to say this, we have consulted the industry on this issue. We've had meetings with some of the SACCO's officials on this problem, but they are taking too long to act. And that is what is forcing us to come. On the issues of illegal PSV people,
out of time.
Yeah, just finally, those PSV vehicles which are doing PSV business illegally, we are on record as having initiated processes to try and contain this. We will continue doing it because we don't want people who are not regulated to come in and give a necessary competition to those who are complying with the law.
Thank you, sir. Director General of the NTSA, Francis Major, and Chairman of the Matatu Owners Association, Simon. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you
for your time.
Thank you.
Now, it may be an epic battle in many counties, and with barely 18 months to the 2017 general election, a large number of senators plan to wrestle power from incumbent governors. The opportunity to control billions of shillings in the counties could be one of the reasons why 15 out of the 47 elected senators have declared their interest in the powerful positions. Several legislators have rolled out strategies, among them going back to school as part of the preparations to challenge incumbent governors next year. Tonight, KTN begins a comprehensive look at issues that may determine the outcome of the next general election. Here is KTN's Moribi Mwangi with the first episode of Spotlight 2017.
It is a chaotic affair. A political punch here, a near fist fight there, and suddenly an outburst of scathing verbal missiles.
In 2017, ninataka nitoe Oparanya ndio Waluya wajue kama mmelipa mwende.
Barak Muluka. Most of the governors indeed have a good reason to be worried, as more and more sitting MPs senators and non-county political heavyweights across the country declare their interest in the gubernatorial seats.
Certainly, I expect that there will be fewer governors getting re-elected than there will be senators getting re-elected.
But Mombasa Senator Omar Hassan, who is eyeing the governor of Mombasa's seat, has defended sitting MPs and senators who want to run as governor, saying most governors have failed the electorate and that a county chief with experience at the National Assembly or the Senate is better placed to implement development projects in the counties.
And if you look at some of the caliber of senators who've declared interest, are those who in their hearts are not necessarily demonstrated any gluttony with respect to pillaging of state resources, but have demonstrated a desire for good leadership.
Kabete MP Ferdinand Waitito, who lost in 2013 gubernatorial race for Nairobi County before tactically retreating to Kiambu, is one man who is now giving Governor William Kabogo sleepless nights.
Mimi pia ruti zangu ziko hapa Kiambu na mimi nitaitisha kiti ya governor na kura ni zenu wananchi ndio mtapea yule mnataka.
Mostly it's about the selfish individual who wants to be in charge of that kitty.
But things are not any better for embattled Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, who is bracing up for what is shaping up into a jaw-dropping political knockout against the bullfighter Boni Halwale, who has promised the governor a public humiliation in 2017.
But if Oparanya wants to meet me for primaries nomination, chini. Akitaka mwisho, chini. Nataka saa hii Bwana Halwale nikuambie mimi niko tayari kufezu wewe. Wakati wowote usilete porocho.
Things are even thicker for besieged Embu Governor Martin Nyaga Wambora, who will be coming up against the firebrand Runyenjes MP Cecily Mbarire, who has asked Embu Senator Lenny Kivuti and National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, who also hails from the county, to support her ambition.
And they will face me in the ballot. They are fearing to face me in the ballot. That's why they keep on trying to distract me.
Only a few months ago, MPs and senators unsuccessfully tried to slash the sweeping executive powers of governors over county affairs, including the failed attempt by senators to be allowed to sit on the county development boards. And according to Barack Muluka, sitting MPs and senators may have just realized that there's a bigger trappings of power on the gubernatorial seats, including county finances, running into billions of shillings, making the county chief's seat more cozy than a stint at the parliament chambers.
Time of reckoning is coming, and perhaps those who may want to bank on the brevity of memory may want to start changing a little bit and carrying themselves a little differently.
Even sitting deputy governors have seemingly been salivating for the coveted seats, with such deputies as Muranga's Gakure Monyo, Machako's Bernard Kiala and Kisumu's Ruth Odinga, giving their bosses a hard time. And Muluka says some deputy governors may be angry for being treated as spare tires and now want to go for the top seat.
I think almost all deputy governors have been disenfranchised, dismembered totally. It's like they don't exist in the vocabularies of most of the governors. And this is the folly of governors. That's why you see the hostility they sometimes attract from members of the National Assembly, members of the Senate and county assemblies.
The gloves are off and the stage is set for the most bruising gubernatorial contests across the country. Whether it's about the money or the political muscle that comes with a coveted seat, one thing is for sure, the gubernatorial election is going to be one of the most hotly contested during next year's general election. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
Well, and a very good evening and welcome to KTN Business News. My name is Abi Agina.
none of the $2 billion raised in the country's inaugural Eurobond have been lost. This is the emphatic response from the Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich on allegations that up to 50% of the Eurobond's proceeds were not remitted to the country and are instead sitting in the New York Federal Reserve. Rotich insists that all the funds were transferred into central bank accounts and the CBK thereafter remitted the equivalent into government coffers. He said the misleading reports were affecting Kenya's risk profile and had contributed to a more than 300 basis point increase in the Eurobond yields over the past 2 years, from 6.5% when the bond was issued in 2014 to 9.5% currently. And moving on, despite all the noise and acrimony that has accompanied the issuance of the $2 billion Eurobond, the government says it is gearing up to tap the international debt market once more. Speaking during the launch of this International Islamic Finance Conference of Africa, Treasury Secretary Henry Rotich said Kenya would be issuing Sharia-compliant Sukuk bond in the next 1 year or so that would be used to finance infrastructural developments in the market. Kenya will also be looking to join the Organization of Islamic Countries to unlock the opportunities presented in the lucrative but relatively untapped $2 trillion industry. Kenya will also adjust the rules and regulations governing the financial sector to avail Sharia-compliant products in the financial market. Well, now to some developing story where Flame Tree Group has signed a multi-million deal to acquire color cosmetic brand Suzy Beauty, setting off the latest round of acquisitions in 2016. The acquisition is set to give Flame Tree a leg up in the consumer products portfolio. Well, here's more on the significance of this acquisition for the group. Flame Tree has been on an acquisition hunt as it seeks to diversify its portfolio in the fast-moving consumer goods market. Starting off as a plastic molder back in 1989, the group has since diversified with cosmetics, food and hair products. And today the group moved to strengthen that position by acquiring high-end cosmetics manufacturer Suzy Beauty.
We have been doing acquisitions within the FMCG space. This is a third acquisition, Suzy Beauty, again within the FMCG space. We are strengthening our strategy within the FMCG space that Flame Tree Group operates.
Suzy Beauty is a well-established brand, but we need to take it to the next level, and that's what this means.
The cost of the acquisition is still unknown, as the deal is yet to get regulatory approval from the Competition Authority of Kenya. Ideally, if the deal is worth $1 billion shillings, CAK will issue its verdict on the acquisition in 38 days, while if it is below the threshold, it should take only 14 days. This is meant to ensure checks on dominance as well as ensure fair trade. Flame Tree, a listed firm at the exchange, recently acquired 4 brands from Beauty Plus to tap into the growing popularity of local cosmetics. The firm last year posted a net profit of 81 million shillings with earnings for 2016 looking up.
So we have a lot that we need to introduce into the market, and we have them ready to go, and we just need to do it slowly and strategically as well.
I can assure you that this is an earning creative acquisition, so it's great for our shareholders.
For Suzy Beauty, the acquisition is expected to fast-track its expansion and add 21 new product lines into the market.
The color cosmetic market in Kenya was $58 million last year, growing to $73 million in 2018. We want to be part of this market. We believe it's growing at over 8% last year.
Through the deal, Suzy Okabi will become Flame Tree's creative director, overseeing future expansion of the cosmetics business.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Abi Agina, KTN Business. Well, and on that beautiful deal, we now wrap up KTN Business News, and I leave you with the day's financial report. Let's meet tomorrow. My name is Abi Agina.
Thanks for staying with us. Welcome to KTN Sports. A total of 280 candidates will be contesting in the Football Kenya Federation branch elections countrywide. The branch polls will pave way for the national elections, which are scheduled for the 10th of February. Let's take a look at the branches and different venues around the country. The African Nations Championship there suddenly gathering some pace. In athletics, challenges have continued to rock the International Association of Athletics Federation, IAAF, since the World Anti-Doping Agency reports on the organization's involvement and cover-up. German sportswear company Adidas is reportedly ending its 11-year sponsorship deal with the athletics world governing body, almost 4 years early in what is set to lead to huge loss of revenue.
German sportswear company Adidas is set to end its 11-year sponsorship deal with the International Association of Athletics Federations, IAAF, almost 4 years early, according to media reports. It said that Adidas, the biggest sponsor of the sports governing body, decided against continuing with the contract as a direct result of the doping and corruption scandal that emerged in December last year and continues to dog athletics. The company also considers the accusations of corruption within the organization a breach of the agreement with the IAAF. Adidas is one of the IAAF's official partners along with Canon, Toyota, Seiko, TDK, TBS and Mondo. If confirmed, the disclosure represents the latest in a series of setbacks for the Monaco-based IAAF. Late last year, an independent commission for the World Anti-Doping Agency revealed widespread state-sponsored doping in Russia. Last week, the commission released a second report on its investigations that accused the IAAF of having embedded corruption at the very top of the organization under former President Lamine Diack. Early in January, IAF President Sebastian Coe said the organization had a lot of work to do to regain the trust of the public, athletes and sponsors.
That we go on doing what we need to do to make those changes. The public, the athletes, the sponsors, the media will ultimately judge us on the changes that we make. We can't beg them for trust, we have to earn it.
Former President Lamine Diack and his son Papa Massata are both under investigations by French police over corruption allegations. Lynn Washira, KTN.
So on our top story tonight, Chief Justice Dr. William Mutunga has convened a special sitting of the Judicial Service Commission for Wednesday to take a look at corruption allegations made against Supreme Court Judge Philip Tunoi, who was accused of receiving a bribe from Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero. We asked you on the big question discussion tonight, should Judge Philip Tunoi resign from the Supreme Court for allegedly receiving bribes? Very quickly, some of your views. Shamaki Abdullahi on Twitter says, let's look at the two sides of the coin. Whoever gave out the bribe should also take responsibility. Dennis Maina says, no, he should be cooling off at committee and pay taxes on the bribe. Eric Nyaga says, yes, he shouldn't ruin whatever little reputation that is remaining of the Supreme Court, whether guilty or not. Simon Koech finally says, the so-called journalist must also face the law for abetting graft. Why speak now? Thank you for participating in the big question discussion, for your tweets and SMSs. And many thanks for joining us on KTN Prime. I'm Ben Kitili. Good night from the KTN News Center.